What is up, YouTube? Welcome to episode 66? 66? Episode 66. Wow. 66. We blew past 50 long ago. We're almost to 100. Damn. Anyways, welcome and let's get into it. So, the printer's obviously finished. We have the first set of contenders for the tournament arc, as Giguk would say. Anime lovers will know. Yeah, so I've got them in there. And they're just about finished curing. I'm going to pull them out just now and chuck them on the scale, and I will give you my thoughts, and we'll talk about the results. So let's have a look. Let's start off with the thickest. 2mm wall thickness. This turned out gorgeous, just amazing. Very little issues except for like where the support material's touching. That can easily be fixed with just put a layer of resin on here and then let it cure and then give it a good sand, and it's nice and smooth. All of these resolution layers, these ridges and stuff, same thing. If you want it smooth, you just put a layer of resin on it and then you can sand it. It's held its shape really nice. You can feel like immediately this is too heavy. It's nice and strong. It's super stiff, but it's just a little too heavy. Everything has held its form really nice. But let's see how heavy it is, and we will check it out. So this is the 2mm shell, 77 grams. Wow. All right, next up, the 1mm shell. This is pretty good. It's held its shape nicely, so we'll use the 2mm for comparison. This is the shape it's kind of supposed to have. This is sort of ballooned out a little bit at the back here, but otherwise it's pretty close. It is pretty damn close. Whether or not it's the underside of the wing it looks like it's the underside of the wing that's bowed a little too much, and it's lost a bit of a bow there in that section of the wing. Looking at the tip, almost the same. It's also flattened out a little bit. It's sort of bowed out, but it's lost a bit of its reflex in here. So you'd lose a bit of your, when you print this, you'd lose a bit of your reflex from your aerodynamics if you're doing a wing, for instance. But that turned out really nice, and you can see like there's a clear difference between 1mm and 2mm. But this feels good. It is a little bit on like the weak side. Like you can flatten this wing, so a certain amount of aerodynamic forces at certain speeds would actually cause flutter in this. You can see there it bends quite easily, so a shell on its own at 1mm is not enough, but how much does it weigh? 44 grams, not quite half as much. There are certain areas where you're not going to lose weight because, like, for instance, this tail section here and here, they aren't changing weight at all. It's only the thickness in this section here, so quite a bit of this weight here stays the same between the two, and that's why you don't see an exact half of the weight. So 1mm shell, 44 grams. Not bad. It still feels a bit heavy. You wouldn't be able to use this. It's got too much flex, and it's still just a little bit too heavy. So 1mm is definitely out of the question. So we could possibly look at reprinting a 0.75, because here is the 0.5mm, and straight away you can see big issues. Tearing, complete warping of the surface. It did not hold its shape at all. It is completely, it's completely a balloon, completely unusable, but we shall weigh it and see what we get. So the shell for itself at 0.55 millimeters, 25 grams. Again, not quite half the weight of the previous one, but pretty damn close. 25, 26, 25. Okay, let's give it 26 just to be generous, because I can't get 0.0 grams, which I would prefer to get more accurate results. I'm going to see if I can get myself a more accurate scale, but they're quite expensive, the 0.0 grams. Too many drug dealers buying them. So, yeah, and you can see there, like, it's immediately starting to crack just from like playing with it, flexing it. This would not be usable at all, but it is a decent weight. So now we have to find the question, right? Do we try 0.75mm shell? I think I'm going to print one anyways, just to be sure, because we know this is still pretty good, but quite heavy. This is unusable. So if we find somewhere in the middle between these, we've got a good shell thickness, because that's where a lot of the weight's going to come from, is when we start adding all those internal ribs. Yeah, I think going with a 0.75mm shell is the way to go. So yeah, there, as I was saying, I do think there is definitely a place between 1mm and 0.55mm. 0.55mm we know works, because I have perfectly good wings up there. So with sufficient internal structure, 0.55 is good enough. Now, the next question is, can we find a balance between internal structure and a 0.55 shell thickness? And can we find, and then the second question is there a better alternative if we increase the shell thickness to 0.75, allow the shell to take some of the structural load, and then reduce the internal structure? So we're going to divert from these two paths. We are going to first confirm that you can do 0.55 millimeter with a minimal amount of structure, and how much does that weigh? And then we're going to do a 0.75 millimeter shell thickness and see how much less structure we can go with and how much less does that weigh, if any. If it comes out to be about the same, then we're going to have to start looking at what are the structural differences? Where does it fail? How does it fail? Is it the shell that fails because there's not enough internal structure? Or is it the internal structure that fails because there's not enough shell? These are the questions we're going to ask next. But first up, we're going to get some more printing done. But unfortunately, I'll have to wait a couple of days because I am waiting for more resin to arrive in the post. All of these bottles here, all empty. Except for that one up there. That's the mud bottle. That's like got the tailings of the end of the batches. When I was mixing certain resins, when there's like a little bit left in the vat and I didn't want to mix up another batch, or I didn't have anything left to mix up another batch, it goes in the mud bottle. So that's like a mystery mix. Now I could probably print the next set of wings with that, but that does have things like tenacious and blue mixed in it, and it's a combination of white and gray. It's pretty much all the resins I had mixed up in little amounts throughout the process. So it won't be a very fair test to print it out of the mud. So I'm going to stick with this is pure gray, by the way. I printed all these with just pure gray. That's all I had left. And we'll keep it that way, and we will see what the comparisons are just with pure gray. Once we have a baseline with just a basic gray, fast gray resin, then we will start looking at, okay, now can we reduce structure and shell thickness further by adding in additives like blue or tenacious? And we will do comparisons on that at the end. So we're going to just start with the basics, keep it simple, pure gray, and we will go through all the different battery of tests, all the different internal structure, and try out as many different variations as we can. These only take 12 hours to print. They don't use that much resin. I think it was 150 grams, 160 grams, or something. I don't know. There's still plenty left, but unfortunately it went into the mud bottle because there wasn't enough left in the vat to do another print, because I'm going to have to wait. So in other news, work on the gyroids continues. Me and Jotham on my Patreon Discord have been sort of chipping away at the problem. There's a lot involved with it. It's very resource intensive. Here's some screenshots of what it was doing to my memory. Oh my God. I've never seen Inventor use so much memory before. It was all of my memory, everything it could take. I even had to close Firefox down to just give it some more memory. Just feed the beast. Yeah, I'm not sure where to go from here. I think that is the final nail in the coffin for the gyroids. I still want to get one Boolean so I can print it. Jotham was having a bit more luck. He uses SolidWorks. I sent him a couple files, so he's playing with that over there in New Zealand. So if he manages to get that working, he'll send me an SU file and we'll print it. I also sent him a blank of the wing so that he could try out his own ideas for internal structures and stuff and send them to me, and I will print them as well. So if he comes up with any ideas. If you guys want to join in with that, you can always go check out my Patreon, $1 a month, super helpful. You can join us in the Patreon only Discord channel, and I'll send you a blank file of the wing shell for you to play with and put whatever structures internally that you think will be good. There's one more gyroid structure that I can try. It's not as sexy, it's much more uniform, it's more blocky, and it looks more repetitive. It doesn't have that weird like coral reef look that the gyroid that I want to use has. It's a lot easier to model as well, so I'm going to try that one next and see how we go with that. But I don't have very high hopes. We shall see. So I will model a different internal structure type with a different type of gyroid, and then there are a few other things like honeycomb. I still have to do the ribbed the ribbed for her pleasure version. All up, we're going to have about, I think it's about 15 or 16 variations, 15 or 16 wings total, about 3 or 4 variations of each depending on shell thickness and internal structure thickness, spacings, distributions, densities, all of these different things. We're going to test them all. It's going to be a long and arduous road, and it's going to use a lot of resin. So I want to say thank you to Siraya, who make this incredible resin. They sponsor me by sending me resin, and I just want to say thank you to them. Check out their resins. If you live in Australia, I highly recommend Siraya. Regardless of everything else, they have local storage here. They have a warehouse here in Australia, so if you order from their AU website, you get it within like 3 days. They're going to ship my next batch out tomorrow morning, and that should be arriving in the next couple of days. We won't be having too much downtime. I'll have plenty of time to do more CAD work. So yeah, if you're living in Australia, please do check out Siraya. They are incredible. The resins are amazing. I'm having an awesome time with their resins. You can see for yourself the results. I'm just printing crazy stuff with them. Nobody else is printing stuff like this. So yeah, go check out Siraya, and thank you for them for sponsoring the work that I do. They don't so much sponsor my channel, but they want to find out what the resin's capable of. So yeah, we'll leave it there for today's episode. Just going over the results. Some of the footage from this will be going on to the very first video for my new channel. So go check out my new channel if you haven't already. If you're new to this channel, make sure you subscribe. Go check out that channel. The Resin Engineer. It'll be a bit more professional. It won't be so much vloggy, so much talky heady. It'll be a bit more entertaining to watch the videos there. But yeah, so some of the footage from this episode will be going into the first episode of the... I haven't thought of a name of it yet. We're going to need a series name. It can't be like the Wing Showdown. It's too much like the Fan Showdown. I don't know. Leave your comments down below. What should the first series on the Resin Engineer be called? It needs to be something to do with resin wings. What's the best? Or I don't know. Like it has to do with RC resin printed wings or something. What is the best structure? What is the best way to print a resin wing? Something like that. Leave your comments down below what you think the series name should be called, and the best winner will get the pick. So yeah, we'll leave it there for today's episode. As always, I've been Chaos. Make sure you hit the like button, make sure you subscribe, go check out my other channel and subscribe to that too. Watch the video twice, it really does kick the algorithm in the ass. And yeah, until next time, expect the unexpected, and I will see you guys later. And a special thank you to all my patrons that help support the channel. If you would also like to support the channel, there's a link in the description.